I'm curious to know the reason behind going solo now in 2020. You know, what led Hayley Williams to this moment? Because I understand you had an initial signing as like a solo artist when you were like 14, right? But like, what made now so important for you to step out?
Oh man, the truth is I've never wanted to make music that was under my own name. Signing as a solo artist was such a failure to me as a kid because I think a lot of people are under the assumption that I signed as a solo artist and then decided I wanted to be in a band, but I was already in Paramore, and you know, there's so much to that story that just has to do with me being a kid, you know, in the music industry. But I don't think I ever would have felt safe putting out this record if Paramore hadn't had such a strong career and if our friendships weren't in such a great place. You know, I feel very supported. So now, learning all the things I'm learning about my spirit and my mental health and the things I've been through thus far, it just felt like this was the right opportunity and the right place to tell some of these stories.
Yeah, and it's great to see, you know, the relationship between you three is so awesome. I mean, Taylor's obviously been so involved with the production and the writing with you for this record. Zac, I mean, I love Half Noise. Like, he knows what it's like to do his own thing. So it's really nice for you to have, you know, that understanding from the band, because I feel like not all artists would have that almost privilege or that experience, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Zac actually, I was so nervous to tell him. I told him straight after I told Taylor, and I was nervous because I'm thinking, oh man, Zac just came back to the band and we're functioning properly for once, you know? And knowing that he had done Half Noise and then seeing how much he supported me and sort of said, man, Hayley, you have to do this. This is so cool. That really meant so much, because I was very apprehensive about this whole process because, honestly, like, not only is Paramore the band that I'm in, but it's really the only consistent family that I've known, and we've been through our ups and downs, but we've always seemed to make it out together. So it only felt right for Taylor to come in and produce this album and be a part of helping shape the creation of it. And actually, just yesterday, the video that I came to LA to shoot, Zac directed. So, I mean, it's still very much a family affair, you know. But, I mean, that's just because you can't really separate me from what's in my blood, you know.
You are listening to Triple J with Bridget, and Hayley Williams is joining you on the line. We're talking about her brand new solo project and Simmer being the first taste of this release. What was it about this song in particular that you were like, this has got to be the first taste, the first impressions of, you know, not just Hayley from Paramore, but just Hayley?
You know, after we wrote and recorded After Laughter, I started to sense that I was dealing with some, I didn't know that I could call it anger yet, but I knew it was uncomfortable, and I just wasn't sure if it was ever going to manifest itself as anything that was tangible, like anything that I could put words to. I just wondered if I was going to feel the discomfort of, you know, a lack of closure in certain situations and, you know, this need for justice or vindication in other situations. I just had all these, what I thought were bad feelings, and I couldn't stop feeling them, you know, even though we'd just written this record that helped me to express so many things. I was like, oh my God, it's like I've barely scratched the surface, you know. So a couple of years later, fast forward to me writing the lyrics to Simmer and realizing that this was the realization of all of those uncomfortable feelings. Like, this was my moment to finally articulate the anger, the rage. So in order for me to present this as a story and to try to make sense of it, even just for myself, Simmer was the perfect place to start. Not to mention stylistically, I just really enjoy putting out something that feels a bit twisted and darker.
Yeah, well, I'm keen to dive into that with you because sonically, I mean, I knew it would be different because After Laughter was, of course, a really different side for Paramore as well, and that's when you started to show that interest moving away from that straight-up pop-punk dose. But I feel like the first vibe for a lot of people was with this song, with Simmer, was just like, damn, this sounds creepy, but it's cool. I was like, girl, I'm ready to put this next to Decode on the Twilight soundtrack, like mega, you know, like just Radiohead vibes immediately for me.
Oh, cool. Thank you. That's such a huge compliment, honestly. Thank you. Thanks so much.
And also because you literally just shared the playlist like half an hour ago for the influences behind this album. I've been waiting for you to share it. I'm like, I need to talk to you.
Yes.
But it's so interesting seeing all the songs on there. I mean, you do have Radiohead, and you did tweet about Tom York being an influence. How did that come to be? I mean, have you always been a fan? Were you just going through a period of time where you were listening to that music that got you through something?
Yeah, everything on the playlist is, I mean, that's a pretty short playlist, actually, at least by my standards, and I think by a lot of other people's. But, you know, when I started to tell people what I was doing, and when Taylor and I started to talk about the production, and when Joey and I were writing songs like Sudden Desire, which was such a culmination of, like, 3 or 4 different, you know, genres that aren't normally related, it just felt like the right thing to do was, like, put a playlist together, try to paint as complete of a picture as we can without actually having the picture. And, you know, songs like, I'm trying to remember what was on there. I just looked at it.
I can tell you. You got James Blake, you got Bjork, you've got 3 songs from Solange that I'm living for. What was Solange for you?
I've been so enamored and just intrigued by how she makes her art. I think that she's got the right amount of mystery around what she's doing so that it stays very romantic to me, but she also is, oh God, she seems like such an honest artist, and everything feels like it's all so close to her. And not to mention, like, the sounds on her records are beautiful. I love, like, Weary I put first because there were a lot of conversations about what I might want the drums to sound like. I just really liked the way that the song Weary sounds, you know, when you listen to the drums. It's very organic and earthy, you know, and it moved on to other songs later, like, I can't remember the name of Don't You Wait, I think. That one felt like, when I listened to it, musically, this was strange for me because I don't typically listen to songs and relate to them musically, but when I heard it, I was like, oh man, this feels like something that Taylor and I would try to write.